All right, guys, so I am back. This is Joe here, back with another Votann battle report. So today, I took the Greater Thurian League earlier this week into Price's Death Guard, and it was really powerful. But I've heard a lot of talk about Ymyr, so just wanted to give Ymyr a shot. This is my take on the balance list with Ymyr. So we've got a double patrol this time, so switching away from, I think, classically when I've built Ymyr list, it's been battalions, but taking a patrol because I think more of the, just the quality units, the bikes, the Terminators, the Berserkers, is probably just better than having to pay the troop tax because everything is 110 points. So why would you not have some of the more powerful units? I also am taking 4 characters this time. So we've got, we'll just run through the characters first. We have our Call. He is a high call, so he can give full rerolls to a unit. And then he has a fitting challenge and a Grudge's End, so he can snipe characters, auto wound if he has a judgment token. When you kill something, he can shift his judgment token, so it just makes the judgment kind of passing a little bit more efficient. And then we've got our Grimnyr. He's got the CP farm and the toughness strat, so he can kind of make things a little bit more durable. We're trying out the champion, so he has the upgraded Darkstar Axe. So his Darkstar Axe is 2 damage. And there's a Bloodthirster that's going to come eat the Votann. And then we have the Forge Master. He's upgraded so he can refund a CP for a War Gear strat every turn, and he can blank a damage roll on anything. So pretty standard in terms of like the character layout, but it's just Ymir specific. We don't have access to Uthar in this list. And then I have 2 just box standard troops, just with bolt guns. I have a unit of the Hearthguard or the Terminators with Volkanite and plasma swords. And then I have 2 Berserker squads, one with a maul launcher so that I can make something fight last. And then everything just has mauls. So they're all going to have the hammers. And then kind of rounding the list out is 3 units of bikes, all with searchlights and the Rotary Cannon, and then 2 full beam load-outed trash trucks. So that's the list. We'll see how it goes.
Hey everybody, Walter here. You'll know me mostly from playing Necrons in these battle reports, but I've decided to venture out of my comfort zone to give the new Demon Codex a whirl as we annihilate some Votann guys, or as we like to know them, squats. You'll see there's a unit of 10 Bloodletters here. Next to them there's a unit of 10 Bloodletters. Don't let the fact that they look like fantasy models fool you. I don't own a lot of non-Necrons, so things got a little desperate. We got another 10 Bloodletters behind them. You'll note the fantasy basis. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Triple set of Flesh Hounds, 5 each, led by Karanak. 2 units of 3 Blood Crushers. Then 3 Skull Cannons. One of them's also a fantasy proxy. I've got the real models incoming, but they're not here yet. 1 Ordinary Bloodthirster and 1 Scarbrand completes the set. So we're exclusively Khorne for this battle, and I have no doubts whatsoever that we will dominate and destroy the leagues of Votann. They've been on a bit of a tear lately, but Joe is piloting them, and honestly, I think problem is between seat and table, if you catch my drift. I intend tabling by round 3, maybe 4 if he's lucky. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to play it by ear, but my boys will be playing it by axe.
We have deployed terrain. We are getting ready to kind of set everything out. Just wanted to show you guys a brief overview before we start deploying models. In terms of secondaries, I have taken Lay Claim, Prospects of Wealth, and Bring It Down. Walter has taken Reality Rebels. What's this one again? Nourished by Terror and Assassinate. So we'll be back after deployment.
My Votann enemy has attempted to do the terrain talk unopposed, but I'm seizing the microphone now. You'll notice that I've tricked him into deploying before we chose secondaries. Huge advantage for me right there already. But if you look at this battlefield, you'll see it is replete with tiny graves. Graves the size of dwarves. I'm going to make of this center area a charnel house. Khorne murder at all times in that charnel house, but don't think I've forgotten about the flanks. You see this one? There's a house on it that prevents line of sight. He can't see through that house. Huge, huge, unless he's inside it, and then he's already fallen into my trap. Over here, boxes. Very similar thing, and on the other side, another house. Together, these are a dominant thing. And you, looking at this and noting that I cannot be inside that objective while out of line of sight, would think that he scored a number on me, and he did roll to mess up my home deployment zone before I could, which would be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that I'm not going to be in my home deployment zone because I'm coming for his neck. He is preparing for a battle that won't even happen. This is already over. Alright, so I have filled this board with the Blood God servants. We've got blood letters, more blood stuff, and over here, even more blood stuff. Someone who didn't understand might say that we were cowardly shrinking away from the Votanni shooting, but the truth is that we are relishing the opportunity to get shot, because Khorne cares not from whence the blood flows. The only problem is, at this point in time, my greater demons are still trapped in the warp, along with some blood crushers. I definitely want those guys to come down, but because the sanctuaries are abandoned and not filled with blood god worshipping fanatics, they were unable to arrive in time for the battle. Meanwhile, on the other side, cowering in their pitiful hovels, we have some prospectors far away from any objectives. Classic error. We have some sort of tortoise, tank, Hakaton, Iron land fortress. Anyway, you can see it sitting in the only place it can go, right between two pieces of terrain. Very original. Some guys standing behind it, even slower. A bunch of characters over here. Nobody cares about that, Johns. Really just a total lack of blood letters, blood crushers. The whole army is just not red, and I don't understand what they're trying to do. More prospectors over here. Only prospect on this board is blood. I'm about to have to place their bonus 3 objectives that only they can score at the end of the game, which is something about their secondaries. That'll come up. We'll fold that into the post-turn 1 thing. Main point is, I've out-deployed my enemy and out-psyched them. This is, you know, I offered the opportunity to quit, but he's going to go on. Maybe he'll take up after the move phase. We'll see.
All right, guys. So we did some moving. We just nudged up these bikes to kind of stage to go and do things, but not be in range to give Walter places to springboard the hounds that are back there behind that piece of terrain. We've bumped up these troops here. The psychers kind of staying back here, and then we advanced both of the trucks. They're accelerated, so they start at 10, they go to 16. So they actually can move pretty quickly if they don't have things to shoot at. So they've just kind of occupied the middle of the board because we're in abandoned sanctuaries. All the characters have kind of nudged up here. We're not really scared about shooting. And Walter's stuff can't come in until next turn. And then we've bumped up the bikes here to be able to shoot down lanes at the hounds. And then these bikes here are going to do the action. My Terminators have ported over here, and they're staging to shoot into the backfield here. Terminators that teleported over got rid of those bloodletters that were there, and then plinked the 2 cannons down to 1 and 2 wounds respectively. The bikes, the white squad of bikes here shot into those hounds and picked up 3, and then the other squad of bikes just did Prospects of Wealth. And unfortunately, this is not a rich deposit, so we'll have to keep trying to get that. But on to Khorne Demons, turn 1.
So last round is an interesting turn. His Terminators didn't get challenged. Khorne saw that their skulls were not to be claimed by anyone but Scarbrand or another kind of badass guy, and we didn't work out so well. But of his total of 6 spikes, we've defeated, you'll notice, it looks like 4, but there's actually 1 hiding behind that thing. So half of his bikes on this flank are dead. The remainder are locked in combat with the Flesh Hounds. Over here, his tanks remain totally unaffected by everything, but Karanak is now engaging both of them with 1 wound left after some overwatch, and is hopefully going to force him to use his strategy points to escape that and do some damage. I also have this tank here. All of those guys are going to be sacrifices to hold those tanks back even for 1 more round. Still hiding behind the objectives, we have the Bloodletters in disguise. And even more cowardly over here, we have these Flesh Hounds and cannons. I mean, the army just shoots so hard that I cannot let myself be seen. This next round is going to be an interesting thing. I need my greater demons to show up, and they will be. So a lot of time is going to be spent there. But I have rolled really well 7 out of 8 possible Warp Storm points. So I'm just going to be dripping with Warp Storm power on this next round. Really looking forward to that. The trap is slowing closed on the Votann. So far, it does look like they've annihilated all my stuff and I've done nothing in return, but that is just the beginning of the trap. We call that the bait. All right. So now that I have mastered baiting, we are ready for the next turn.
All right, guys. So the end of the Votann turn, we have prospected this objective. We killed everything through shooting that was engaged with the tanks. We got out with some berserkers and were able to kill 4 bloodletters, and then they killed 1 berserker back, but we're locked in combat here. We shot everything off of this objective, and then the champion charged the lone flesh hound that was left on the objective and was able, with getting just 1 wound through, to kill him, which is good. And that is the end of the turn. We'll get we scored a 12 on the primary, and we'll get a 2 on the bonus, and then we'll get another 3 for prospects and 2 points for bring it down, because the big guys haven't come in. But this is where the Khorne army gets scary, when the big guys come in.
So an interesting turn for demons. We began the fight back. The trap is sling closed. I did not touch these Terminators. I'm doing a long pan on them because I didn't touch them at all. It's reverse psychology there. I failed the charge to get this character and assassinate. Sad days. These are the guys who failed the charge. Khorne is disappointed in them. I finally defeated all the berserkers in my deployment zone by sending in a second unit of crushers, of whom only 1 is left because the berserkers fought nobly on death. Very, very stout of them. Little demon trickery to here, only 3 inches away. Over here, I ran over and lowered the leadership so that a unit of blood crushers with a stratagem were able to complete the charge and eat another unit of bikers. Very cool. And then over here is the main thrust of what's going on. I've killed one of those invincible tanks, and the remaining tank is engaged with a bunch of blood crushers and also a bunch of soldiers, and Skarbrand's aura is hopefully going to keep them all from falling back and make me not be shot to death. Although obviously the tank can shoot in combat, it's a little bit hurt at this point, and he's got a bunch of characters who are just going to do evil things, but my phase-locked Thirster should be immune to all of them, except there's a guy who kills phase-locked Thirsters lurking over here. Joe, can you confirm this guy is a killer of phase-locked Thirsters?
Yes, he is.
Okay, well, that guy's going to be a real problem. He's going to kill that phase-lock Thirster, and there's very little that I can do about that. But anyway, it's a really tough game at this point for me. These Votann are not falling into my trap the way I wanted them to, but we will see what I can accomplish. I remain, as always, totally certain of my ultimate victory. It's just the question is, what form will it take? All right, the Dwarven menace is subsiding a little bit. Their tank has been destroyed. This is at the end of the Dwarvish turn. Both tanks are destroyed. All berserkers are destroyed. One of their 10-man units is destroyed. On the other hand, I'm having a real problem of losing the game. He's got all these objectives. I don't have all these objectives, but blood is flowing in waves. The blood god delighted. In my mind, that means the situation can't be that much of a failure. I'm about to charge over into all his characters with this flyer. Skarbrand is going to take the center by force. And I think then we'll go on to lose by point things. But in terms of bodies, I'm going to stack them, all right? No dwarves left alive, straight murder, all bloodthirsters essentially intact. They can't touch us. We'll never let them fall back. It's just this devilish plan. If only I was not losing so badly, I would be winning. All right, good times. Waiting for the next turn. All right, so Khorne has swept the center clean. An orgy of bloodthirster, bloodlust, and bloodletting has left him with very few dwarves left in the center. But unfortunately for me, the prince of the line, the last avenger of his father's rightful crown, is creeping up on Skarbrand, and he's a close combat character. Meanwhile, the Terminators, who on turn 1 deep striked in this flank, have ruled this flank absolutely. This guy's dead, don't worry about him. Return to the warp. Nobody is near these guys. No one can approach them. They're just too powerful. These bikes are still mobile, still active and hostile, big parts of the game. But Votann is still leading on the old scoreboard, so we'll see how things go. There's no demons home here. What I would call a lucky round of shooting. Popped all my units. But also, I have taken his objective. We have swapped objectives at this point. This game is wildly off the rails. Anything could happen as long as anything is my inevitable victory. Careful listeners will notice that our opponent's voice has dropped entirely off this track because I have seized control of the means of production, or broadcast, as the case may be. 1 Bloodletter, saved for 2 CP, still holding this zone. Tactical genius over here. 1 Skull Cannon closing in on the center objective. 1 group of Fleshhounds eating their second Votann character. And 1 Bloodthirster that just charged and devoured all of his bike unit. I said your voice was silent, and then it came out. He's got a whole unit of Terminators coming back at me and hiding in the back, or I guess having charge across the board. I can't accuse him of hiding. But the Prince of the Votann, instead of dueling with the Bloodthirster, has prospected on my home objective. He continues to focus on winning the game instead of awesome bloodshed. So this one's really tight, coming down to the wire. He is ahead, actually, by a bit. But I have faith in making a last-minute comeback, and if I don't, the Blood God will still be pleased, because he is very easy to please, really, honestly, just a stalwart guy all around. Okay. So it's the last turn. The question is, can these Terminators do 8 in the shooting, 8 in the charge on this phase-locked Thirster, and then survive its swingbacks, and then muscle it off the objective, which will also get him his prospecting objective over here, because he can't get to the other 2. So he's just hoping to not get zeroed on one of his secondaries, which, although he is winning, would make it harder. Meanwhile, he's now prospected 3 objective, has struck gold nowhere because he's the sort of person who plays Votann. But we don't hold that against him.
Mwahahaha! So the Votann strike back. We pushed forward and we're able to plink off 16 wounds off of the face cap Thirster. So I mean, it's iffy. We'll see. He's got 3 judgment tokens. I have 6 Terminators left. I'll fight first if he stays in combat. So it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of points that still hang in the balance. We did our prospects back there, and lots of good stuff happened. So we'll see what happens.
All right, you'll see. I made the all-important rolling of a 3+ to advance into the center of the field. In Abandoned Sanctuaries, holding the center is so crucial. I've also got this 1 demon saved by a 2 CP strat to pass morale. Turned out to be critical, so we could hold that objective. And then some Fleshhounds holding the enemies home to give us the 12 for the primary at the end. Holding the center, combined with all the things that we've been doing all game, actually pulled the demons into the lead. So just as was prophesied, Walter wins. Enemies do not win, or perhaps they get moral victories of not winning. Because this was a game that Khorne looked down on and smiled. Almost everyone is dead. The enemy has a Terminator unit that's about half strength, and a character. I have a demon with 4 wounds left, a unit of Blood Crushers, a cannon, and 1 Bloodletter. All told of 4,000 points, there's probably about 800 on the table right now. An absolute slobber knocker of a game. Here is our final points. You can see this game swung pretty heavily as the game went on. Just could not handle the Dwarven early aggression. But then once the big guys came down, we trapped them unable to fall back, and we pulled it all out in the end. So, yay demons, bad Votann. Alright, catch you next time, guys.